Hello everybody, this is a video update on a video I did a while ago about wiring live frog points. The video I did has been viewed many times and I think is quite informative. However, I did end up with a small hiccup and I thought I'd do another video just to explain what the problem was and how I resolved it. This is an ordinary Pico live frog point. As you can see, if you look carefully at the metal frog just here, see if I can see it there, you can see that there is connectivity across the points here, such that that piece of metal, that piece of metal, that piece of metal and that piece of metal are all common and are all fed by the same polarity of power. Let me illustrate that by putting it on this piece of white paper. Now if I pan back, you can see down at this end we have the red positive, which is perhaps the wrong way around, should be the minus, but never mind, I've got the wrong convention here. But if the point is in this setting, the red power, forget whether it's positive or negative, it doesn't matter, the red power is on the one track and the blue power on the other. Now as you go down, you'll see that at this end the red power goes straight along here, but the connection here means that not only is this outer rail blue, that's blue, that's blue, and coming down at the end here, both these points are blue. Now that's the effect of having a live frog. So before you actually use the point, it's necessary to make some adjustments. The first thing to bear in mind is on these two connectors here and here, when you connect it to the rest of your track, you have to use isolating fish plates, the little nylon fish plates which are available from Hornby and sundry other places. The other thing you have to do is turn the point over, and you'll see that very kindly Pico have put two little bits of wire here which you need to cut there and there, and you then can connect this part of the track to there and that part of the track to there, so that the two blades of the point always have the same polarity. This will always have the same polarity as this, and that will have the same polarity of that. Because you've broken these two connectors here and you've isolated them here, this whole section is dead, and it's that section which needs to be wired through to a switch connected to your point motor, so that as the point motor changes, the polarity of this little section changes as well. Now it takes a bit of getting your head round to get the wiring right, but once you've cracked it and you've drawn a little diagram, then it should be quite straightforward. Now I said earlier that I actually made a bit of a mistake here. When I did this, I didn't bother cutting that wire and that wire. I relied on the connectivity here and here to do the isolating for me. Now that does work, and my trains were operating quite successfully, but interestingly enough I upgraded from a Select controller, Hornby Select, to a Hornby Elite, and I started to get shorting errors coming up and all the trains freezing. And I discovered what was happening was that some locos with pickups on their bogies, when they came around on a curve here, the wheels would come across, and it was possible, particularly if they're coming in this direction, the bogie that's picking up power from this rail could just touch this rail. And of course that's got the opposite polarity the way I'd got them wired, which was a bit of a shortcut which I now regret. So the thing shorted, so I had to resolve the problem. Now the snag is all my points have been laid, ballasted, screwed down. So the idea of trying to take them all up unsolder that connection and put it all back down again was just a nightmare for the 20 odd points that I've got on the layout. So I had to find an alternative solution. Now here is a typical point on my layout. As you can see, it's been ballasted, and the offending point is right here and here. How was I going to break that connection there and break that connection there, and then connect this to this and this to this without taking the point up and without resoldering? Well, it actually turned out to be relatively easy. What I did was as follows. Firstly, I got out my trusty Dremel drill and also one of these cutting discs, which comes in the standard Dremel kit. Now I got the thinnest one I could find, and I strongly recommend that if you try out this exercise, you make sure that you wear safety glasses when carrying out the work. I'll show you what I did. All the points have actually been completed, so I can't show you a live illustration of me cutting, but I can show you exactly how I approached it. So what I did was to get the drill like this, very carefully lower it down into the track and cut very carefully, trying to hold the disc vertically, firstly through that cut and then through that cut. This particular point might have been better approached from the other side, but it's surprising how easy it is, and it doesn't make too much mess, and it quite neatly cuts right through with a small enough gap not to interfere with the running of the rolling stock. Let me repeat, please make sure that you use safety glasses, because these discs have a habit of shattering and also bits of metal fly everywhere. Okay, the second part of the problem then is to connect the power from there to there and there to there without having too much soldering above the baseboard. So what I did was as follows. Hornby supply a thing called the Digital Electric Power Clip, reference number R8232, which you can see here. And all it is a bit of springy, let me try and hold it properly, there we are, a bit of springy wire. I just remembered, having done this a little while ago, it won't fit. The clip is too big because it's designed to go further up the point on the Hornby insulated frog points. But of course in this case the clip has to go between these two sections and not these two. It's this bit we want to make live. So the distance from there to there is bigger than the distance from there to there. So it is necessary to do a bit of bending. So it can be done quite easily with a pair of pliers, and I'll just do that off camera and then show you the result. First, you can see I straightened out, or nearly straightened out, one side. I'll now rebend it a little further in, so hold on. So here we have it, the same thing but now with the distance across this section made much smaller so that it will now fit in the narrower part of the point. I'll now try and fit it in one-handed, but it probably won't work, but let's see. If I do that, in fact it has gone in. Let me go right up close. You can there see, there it is tucked in there. Now, I haven't done that very well because this clip needs, this part of it needs to be bent slightly that way so it's pressing up firmly against the rail and doesn't show. This bit does show here, as you can see, but when it's clipped in properly and that's pushed down, you hardly see it. And I'll show you what it looks like on my layout. Here, if you look very carefully, just here you can see part of the wire just there and there. Of course you have to do 2 on each point. There's there and there. Now I feel that that is almost invisible unless you really look carefully. If however you are concerned about it, you can always paint the cross part of the this bit here, you can paint it black and it'll then be virtually invisible. And the good news is, having done that on my 20 odd points, my shorting problem disappeared, and also the reliability of the flow of current from here to here was improved. Rather than relying on this connection here when the point is closed, it's permanently connected there, so you get a much better reliability of current supply. Just before I finish, there's one other little tip that might be helpful. As I said earlier, I've purchased the new Elite controller. This has 2 outputs. One is the programming output and the other is the track output for normal running. And the idea is that you have a separate piece of track tucked away where you can program new locos or change the values in certain locos. Well, what I decided to do, rather than actually have a separate piece of track, I have a head shunt here, which currently has 2 trucks on it, which is just a very short siding. So what I did was I put 2 insulating fish plates just here, which meant that this piece of track had a separate supply of power. I then made a small control panel here, and as you can see, one of them, the black plug, picks up the programming signal from the Elite, and the yellow plug picks up the normal running supply from the Elite. I then have a switch on the left. When it's in track mode, this siding here is supplied in the same way as the rest of the track, but when switched to programming mode, like that, the rest of the track is dead and only this one siding is live. This means I can put a new loco on this siding, program away until I program away and the desired setting is achieved. Then just turning this switch back means that normal running can resume on the layout. The wiring is quite easy. I won't bother doing a drawing of it because all you do is have a separate supply from those 2 tracks down to the back of the switch. And when the switch is in the down position, it's connected to the yellow socket. When the switch is in the up position, it's connected to the programming section. Okay, I hope that helps somebody. Now I'll finish off with a quick bit of running. Okay.